In the heart of the Nevada desert, a remote facility sat like a solitary sentinel among the arid dunes. This was the NASA Ames Research Center, where a team of scientists and engineers was immersed in a project that promised to redefine humanity's understanding of the cosmos. The facility hummed with the whir of servers and the quiet, determined voices of researchers poring over data on monitors, flickering with spectral images of distant worlds. Among them was Dr. Evelyn Hart, an astrophysicist whose keen intellect had earned her a spot in this elite group. With short-cropped hair and piercing green eyes, she was a woman who rarely backed down from a challenge. But today was different. A palpable tension hung in the air, thickening with each passing hour. They had intercepted a signal unlike anything they had encountered before. It began as a mere blip, a flicker in the vast expanse of the universe. At first they thought it was interference, perhaps a malfunction of their equipment, but as they refined their algorithms and filtered through the noise, the signal grew clearer and more defined. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, and when Evelyn first heard it, a chill ran down her spine. "Dr. Hart, you need to see this," called her colleague, Dr. Raj Singh, from across the lab, his voice laced with urgency. He gestured to a wall of screens, each displaying the same series of numbers and symbols. Evelyn approached, her heart racing. The data streams formed a complex pattern, one that seemed to shift and morph like a living entity. "What are we looking at?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think it's a code," Raj replied, eyes wide with excitement. "It's not random, there's a structure to it." Evelyn leaned closer, scrutinizing the patterns. The sequence echoed mathematical principles, but interspersed within were anomalies that felt distinctly otherworldly. She had dedicated her life to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, but this was unlike anything she had ever imagined. Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly, driven by a mix of dread and exhilaration. The more they analyzed the signal, the clearer it became that it was a transmission, an alien message from deep space. But what was it trying to convey? As they delved deeper into the data, their enthusiasm soon gave way to an unsettling realization. The message contained fragments of images, faint but distinct. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat as the first image appeared on the screen. A vast, barren landscape under a darkened sky, with strange geometric structures jutting out like skeletal fingers. She had seen this landscape before, in the images returned by the Mars rovers, but these structures were unlike anything they had ever encountered. Is that Mars?" Raj stammered, peering at the screen. "It looks familiar, but those formations..." "They're not natural," Evelyn interrupted, her mind racing. "This is evidence of some kind of intelligent design." But what terrified her the most was that the transmission was not merely a snapshot of a distant world. It contained something more. Embedded within the static were echoes of voices, low and haunting, reverberating through the lab like a sinister chant. Each syllable twisted her stomach with an unshakable sense of foreboding. "Listen," she said, beckoning Raj to the speakers. The room fell silent as they leaned closer. The sound was chilling. A cacophony of whispering voices layered over each other, an unintelligible language that filled the air with dread. "What do you think they're saying?" Raj asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Evelyn replied, her mind racing with possibilities. "But we need to decode it. This could be humanity's first contact." As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere in the facility grew increasingly tense. The scientists became obsessed with the signal, their conversations filled with theories and speculations. Rumors spread within the NASA community, whispers of a discovery that could alter the course of human history. But with the excitement came a sense of unease. Strange occurrences plagued the facility. Equipment malfunctioned without explanation, and team members reported unsettling dreams. Visions of desolate landscapes, alien structures, and those haunting whispers that echoed in their minds long after they woke. Evelyn herself found little respite. Each night she tossed and turned, her sleep filled with fragmented images of the alien world. She felt drawn to it, as if some unseen force was beckoning her to uncover its secrets. Then, one evening, as they prepared to present their findings to the higher-ups at NASA, a massive solar flare erupted from the sun, its intensity unprecedented. The electromagnetic pulse struck the facility like a hammer, knocking out power and plunging them into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting an eerie glow over the lab. "Check the systems," Evelyn shouted, panic rising in her chest. "We need to get the backup generators online." As Raj hurried to the control panel, the screens began to flicker back to life, but not with the expected data. Instead, they displayed a distorted image of the alien landscape, and at the center stood a figure, a silhouette that was neither human nor beast, its features obscured by static. Evelyn's heart raced as the whispers intensified, now clearer than ever. "Come, find us, before it's too late." "What the hell is happening?" Raj cried out, backing away from the screen. Evelyn was frozen, her mind racing with dread. This wasn't just a message, it was a warning. "Evelyn!" Raj yelled, shaking her from her trance. "We have to get out of here." But before they could react, the lab plunged into darkness once more. The lights extinguished as the power failed. The whispers grew louder, enveloping them in a suffocating shroud of sound. Panic surged through Evelyn as she groped for her flashlight, the beam cutting through the thick blackness. Suddenly, the whispers stopped. A suffocating silence fell over the room, heavy and oppressive. The air felt charged, crackling with an energy that made her skin prickle. "What's going on?" Raj's voice trembled. Before Evelyn could respond, a piercing red light erupted from the control panel, illuminating the lab. In a crimson glow, the screens began to flicker again, this time displaying images of chaos, scenes of people running, the ground cracking beneath their feet, and dark shadows swirling in the background. "Get back!" Raj shouted, instinctively pulling Evelyn away from the panel. In that moment, she felt it, a presence looming just beyond the veil of darkness. It was as if the very air had thickened, solidifying into something tangible and menacing. And then it spoke. "Find us, or face the consequences." The voice was chilling, resonating deep within her bones, and Evelyn knew then that they had awakened something that should have remained undisturbed. Evelyn and Raj stumbled back, hearts pounding, as the oppressive presence lingered in the air. The red light flickered ominously, casting grotesque shadows that danced around the room. Evelyn's mind raced with thoughts of the transmission, the ancient alien voices that had seeped into their lives, warning them of a perilous fate. "Do you think anyone else heard that?" Raj asked, his voice barely a whisper, eyes wide with fear. "Someone must have," Evelyn replied, struggling to regain her composure. "We need to figure out what's happening. If this signal is a warning, then we can't ignore it." After what felt like an eternity, the emergency generators roared to life, flooding the lab with light. The screens returned to normal, displaying the same incomprehensible data they had been analyzing before. But the atmosphere had changed. The air felt electric, charged with an unsettling energy. "We should call for backup," Raj suggested, moving toward the phone on the wall. Evelyn shook her head. "No, we need to investigate this further. If there's a connection between the signal and what just happened, we can't risk alerting the higher-ups yet. They won't understand." Raj hesitated, but eventually nodded. "Fine, but we need to tread carefully. I don't like this." They delved back into their analysis, diving deeper into the data streams. The whispers returned, low and indistinct, echoing in the recesses of their minds. As they worked, Evelyn became fixated on the patterns, the strange sequences that seemed to beckon to her. whispering secrets from beyond the stars. Days turned into a blur of caffeine-fueled nights and frantic research. The team expanded their scope, reaching out to fellow scientists who had also encountered similar signals. A consensus began to emerge. This was not an isolated incident. Across the globe, various facilities had picked up the same haunting transmission, and each time it came accompanied by chaos. A sudden increase in natural disasters, strange phenomena, and a palpable sense of dread. During one late night, as they sifted through the data, Evelyn noticed something unsettling. "Raj," she called, her voice urgent. "Look at this." On the screen, a timeline displayed a correlation between the signal's transmission and a series of catastrophic events around the world. Earthquakes, storms, and unusual weather patterns. Each event seemed to grow more intense as the signal pulsed stronger. "It's as if they're connected," Raj murmured, his brow furrowed in concentration. "But how?" Evelyn felt a knot form in her stomach. What if the signal is a harbinger, a way of communicating that something is coming? They worked through the night, gathering data and piecing together a narrative that was as terrifying as it was incomprehensible. The whispers grew louder with each revelation, twisting around them, a constant reminder of the unseen force that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. The following day, they decided to confront their fears. They would return to the source of the transmission, the spot where they had first intercepted the signal. Armed with flashlights, recording devices, and a growing sense of trepidation, they set off into the desolate desert, their hearts pounding in sync with the rhythm of the alien signal. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the sand as they arrived at a rocky outcrop. Evelyn glanced around, feeling the weight of the silence enveloping them. There was something unsettling about this place, a sense of being watched, as if the very ground held secrets waiting to be uncovered. As they set up their equipment, Raj looked uneasy. What if we're not meant to be here? What if we're opening a door that should remain closed? Evelyn took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. We have to know the truth. We owe it to ourselves and to humanity. They began the recording, carefully calibrating their devices to capture any fluctuations in the atmosphere. The air felt charged, thick with anticipation. Evelyn could feel the whispers circling around them, drawing closer. Suddenly, a sharp crack split the air. They both turned, hearts racing as a shimmering wave of energy rippled through the atmosphere, distorting their surroundings. In that moment, the landscape shifted, revealing the alien world captured in their data. A glimpse of the barren landscape, the geometric structures, and the figure that had haunted their screens. "Evelyn, look!" Raj gasped, pointing at the shimmering image that hovered before them. The figure stood tall, its outline flickering like a flame. The whispers crescendoed into a haunting chorus, beckoning them to come closer. But a deep instinct within Evelyn screamed to resist, to turn away from the abyss that lay before them. "Get back!" she shouted, pulling Raj away just as the ground beneath them trembled. The figure began to solidify, revealing its form, tall and slender, with elongated limbs and an unsettlingly smooth surface. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, piercing through the darkness, and Evelyn felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, to understand. "Find us," it whispered, the words echoing in her mind like a chilling refrain. Raj staggered back, fear written across his face. "We need to go, now!" As they turned to leave, the whispers morphed into a cacophony of voices, each one vying for attention. The ground shook violently and rocks tumbled around them. The atmosphere felt alive, a swirling mass of energy that threatened to consume them. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Evelyn sprinted alongside Raj, the chilling cries of the entity fading into the background. They raced back to the facility, hearts pounding, minds racing, with the horror of what they had witnessed. Once back at the facility, Evelyn and Raj barricaded themselves in the lab, trying to process the horrors they had just experienced. The air inside felt thick and suffocating, and the whispers that had followed them from the desert now echoed within the confines of their minds. "Did that really happen?" Raj gasped, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Did we really see it?" "I don't know," Evelyn replied, her voice trembling. "But I can't shake the feeling that whatever we encountered is connected to the signal. It's like it's trying to communicate something urgent." As night fell, the atmosphere in the lab shifted. The glow of the monitors flickered uneasily, casting long shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. Evelyn set up a recording device determined to capture any further transmissions. "Maybe it will show us more," she murmured, trying to reassure herself. "If we can understand the message, perhaps we can prevent whatever is coming." Hours passed, the tension thickening with each minute. Evelyn felt the weight of the silence pressing down on her, the whispers growing more insistent, as if demanding her attention. Just when she thought they had retreated, a chilling voice broke through the stillness, resonating from the speakers. "Find us, before the darkness consumes all." Evelyn jumped back, heart racing as the words echoed in her mind. The voice was clearer now, the urgency palpable. She glanced at Raj, who looked equally shaken. "What does it mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Evelyn replied, fighting the rising tide of panic. "But I have to believe it's a warning." They spent the night poring over the recordings, analysing the patterns and trying to decipher the message. The more they listened, the more they realised it was not just a warning, but a plea, an appeal for help from a distant world. In the following days, the outside world began to feel the impact of the signal. News reports flooded in, detailing strange occurrences across the globe, violent storms, strange phenomena in the sky, and people disappearing without a trace. The whispers that had haunted Evelyn began to manifest in the lives of those around her, twisting reality in ways she could scarcely comprehend. Desperate for answers, Evelyn reached out to her colleagues, gathering a small team of trusted scientists to help decode the message. Together, they worked tirelessly, driven by a mix of dread and determination. But as the days turned into weeks, the toll of their obsession began to weigh heavily on them. Sleep deprived and haunted by the whispers, they became increasingly paranoid, convinced they were being watched. Tension simmered beneath the surface, fracturing the once cohesive team into factions. Some members grew convinced that the signal was a harbinger of doom, while others clung to the hope that it held the key to unlocking an interstellar connection. Evelyn found herself torn between the two sides. The whispers had become a constant presence, their haunting chorus growing louder in her mind. She began to experience vivid nightmares, visions of alien landscapes, dark figures lurking in the shadows, and the overwhelming sense of being drawn towards something terrifying. One night she awoke in a cold sweat, heart racing as she gasped for breath. The whispers still echoed in her ears, twisting her reality into a nightmarish haze. Driven by an inexplicable urge, she grabbed her notebook and began to write, her pen flying across the page as though guided by an unseen hand. When she finally stopped, she looked down at the frantic scrawl, heart pounding with fear. The words seemed to form a message, a warning she couldn't ignore. "The darkness is coming. We must find them before it is too late." Panic set in as she realized the implications of her words. She rushed to Raj's office, her hands trembling. "Raj, we need to talk. I think I found something." He looked up, bleary-eyed and exhausted. "What is it?" Evelyn handed him the notebook, her voice trembling. "The whispers. They've been guiding me. I think we need to return to the site where we first heard the signal." Raj frowned, rubbing his eyes. "Are you sure that's wise?" What if we unleash something we can't control? I don't know, but if we don't act, we could be facing something far worse. The world is already unraveling, and we may be our only hope. Reluctantly, Raj nodded, the weight of her words settling heavily in the air. They gathered a small team and prepared for another trip into the desert, a mix of dread and determination driving them forward. As they journeyed back to the outcrop, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The whispers grew louder, swirling around her, filling her with a sense of urgency. They reached the site, the air thick with anticipation, and set up their equipment once more. "Are we ready?" Raj asked, glancing around nervously. Evelyn nodded, her heart racing. "We need to make contact." They activated their recording devices, and as the familiar pulse of the signal resonated through the air, a shimmering wave of energy enveloped them. The figure materialized once more, its glowing eyes piercing through the darkness, and the whispers coalesced into a chilling chorus. "Find us before the darkness consumes all." In that moment, Evelyn understood. They were not just observers, they were players in a game far larger than themselves, a game that transcended time and space. The whispers held the key, a pathway to understanding the true nature of the signal and the force that lay beyond it. But as the figure beckoned them forward, Evelyn felt a pang of fear. What if the darkness was not an external force, but something that dwelled within them all along? Evelyn's heart raced as she stared into the luminous eyes of the figure, the whispers swirling around her like a tempest. It was no longer just a voice, it was a presence, a force that pulsed with an energy she could scarcely comprehend. The reality around her felt fluid, as if the very fabric of space and time was bending to accommodate the being before them. "Find us," the figure urged, its voice echoing within her mind, threading through her thoughts like an invasive vine. "Before the darkness consumes all." "What darkness?" Evelyn found herself asking, her voice trembling. "What are you warning us about?" The figure's form shimmered, and for a moment she caught glimpses of another world, one filled with breathtaking beauty, but shadowed by an ominous cloud. She felt a rush of emotion, a deep sorrow that resonated within her core. "They came, they will come," the voice replied, the words steeped in a haunting melancholy. "They seek to consume what remains. You must stop them." Evelyn exchanged glances with Raj and the rest of the team, who were equally entranced by the figure's presence. Their expressions were a mix of awe and fear, the weight of the moment pressing down upon them like a shroud. "How?" Raj finally asked, his voice shaking. "What can we do?" The figure extended its long, slender hand toward them, the air crackling with energy. "The code! It must be unlocked, but you must confront the darkness within." The atmosphere shifted suddenly, a sharp chill creeping in as the figure faded back into the shadows. The whispers intensified, spiraling into chaos, and Evelyn felt a rush of vertigo as the ground beneath them trembled. "Evelyn!" Raj shouted, grabbing her arm as the world began to warp around them. "We need to get out of here." But something within her held her fast, an insatiable curiosity intertwined with an equally potent fear. "No, we can't leave yet. We need to understand." Before she could resist, the ground cracked open and a rift split the earth. A dark energy surged from within, swallowing the light and plunging them into an abyss. Evelyn's screams echoed in the darkness, and as she fell, she felt herself being pulled deeper into the void. Visions flashed before her eyes, images of destruction, chaos, and despair. The whispers morphed into anguished cries, each one striking at her heart. "Help us! Stop them!" the voices pleaded, their sorrow piercing through the shadows. Suddenly, she landed with a thud on solid ground, gasping for breath as she looked around. The landscape was surreal, a twisted amalgamation of alien terrain and familiar Earth-like features. The air was thick with despair, and the whispers grew louder, merging into a single voice that resonated within her. "Find the source, before it's too late." Evelyn struggled to her feet, feeling disoriented. Where was she? How had she fallen into this place? She scanned her surroundings, searching for any sign of her team, but they were nowhere to be seen. "Raj," she called out, her voice echoing in the eerie silence. Panic gnawed at her as she stumbled forward, her heart pounding in her chest. As she moved through the twisted landscape, the whispers enveloped her, pulling her deeper into the darkness. She felt a presence lurking just out of sight, watching her every move. The air crackled with tension, and a deep sense of foreboding settled in her stomach. Evelyn pressed on, guided by an instinct she couldn't explain. The landscape twisted around her, shifting in ways that defied logic. She felt as though she was traversing not just space, but the very essence of time itself. Memories flashed before her eyes, visions of her childhood, her family, moments long forgotten. "Evelyn!" a voice called out, breaking through the chaos. It was Raj, his face etched with fear. She turned, relief flooding her as she rushed toward him. "Thank God!" she exclaimed, grabbing his arm. "I thought I lost you." "I had the same fear," he replied, glancing around nervously. "We need to find a way out of here. This place feels wrong." As they stood together, the whispers coalesced into a haunting melody echoing around them. "You must face the darkness. Confront what lies within." "What does that mean?" Raj asked, his voice trembling. Evelyn took a deep breath, her mind racing. "I think we need to confront our fears, the darkness that resides within us. This place, it's a reflection of that." Before Raj could respond, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, its form shifting and morphing. It was both familiar and alien, an embodiment of their deepest fears. "Welcome," it rasped, the voice echoing like a distant thunderclap. "You have entered the void of your souls." Evelyn's heart raced as she recognized the figure. It was a manifestation of everything she had tried to bury. The doubts, the regrets, the guilt. It loomed over her, its presence suffocating. "Face me," it demanded, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Only then can you escape." "Evelyn, we can't," Raj shouted, stepping back. "It's a trap." But Evelyn felt an unyielding pull, a need to confront her past. "No, we have to face this. If we don't, we'll never be free." As she stepped forward, the figure transformed, shifting into images of her past, the moments she had tried to forget, the pain she had tried to suppress. Each memory struck her like a blow, filling her with an overwhelming sense of dread. "Embrace the darkness," the figure urged, its voice a chilling whisper. "Only then will you understand." Evelyn closed her eyes, forcing herself to confront each painful memory. She allowed the darkness to wash over her, embracing the fear and despair that had plagued her for so long. Tears streamed down her face as she relived the moments of loss, regret, and fear. With each memory she faced, the figure began to dissolve, the darkness receding as light pierced through the shadows. Evelyn felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a sense of liberation she had never known. Raj stood frozen, watching her transformation. "Evelyn, what's happening?" "I'm breaking free," she whispered, her voice steady. "We have to face our darkness together." As they both confronted their fears, the landscape shifted, revealing a path illuminated by an ethereal light. The whispers turned into a harmonious melody, guiding them forward. With renewed determination, they followed the path hand in hand, leaving the shadows behind. The path stretched before them, glowing with a soft luminescence that illuminated the once twisted landscape. As Evelyn and Raj walked forward, they felt the heavy weight of despair lift, replaced by a sense of hope. The whispers that had once filled them with dread now sang a melody of encouragement, guiding them towards an unknown destination. "Where are we going?" Raj asked, glancing around. "What is this place?" "I think it's a manifestation of our journey," Evelyn replied, her heart racing with a mix of fear and exhilaration. "We faced our darkness, and now we need to uncover the truth about the signal." The ground beneath them pulsed with energy, guiding their steps as they ventured deeper into the heart of the alien landscape. With every step, the whispers grew clearer, forming coherent words that resonated with urgency. "Find the source. Unlock the truth." As they moved closer to the source of the signal, the environment around them began to shift again. The twisted terrain morphed into a vast, sprawling landscape, dotted with strange structures that resembled the geometric formations from the initial transmission. Evelyn's heart raced as she recognized them. These are the structures we saw in the images. We're getting closer." In the distance, a massive structure loomed, a tower-like formation that glowed with an otherworldly light. It pulsated rhythmically, as if it were alive, drawing them towards it with an irresistible force. "This must be it," Raj breathed, awed by the sight. "The source of the signal." As they approached, the air around them crackled with energy, and the whispers crescendoed into a harmonious chorus that filled their minds with visions of the cosmos. Stars swirling, galaxies colliding, and a vast network of energy connecting everything. "This is incredible," Evelyn whispered, captivated by the beauty of it all. "It's as if the universe is alive, and we're just beginning to understand its language." They reached the base of the structure, the light enveloping them in warmth. The whispers transformed into a soothing melody, inviting them to enter. With a shared glance of determination, they stepped inside. The interior was vast and awe-inspiring, filled with intricate patterns that glowed softly against the walls. The atmosphere was charged with energy, and the whispers swirled around them, guiding them deeper into the heart of the structure. As they moved forward, they encountered a chamber filled with holographic displays, each one revealing fragments of the universe's history. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. "What is this place?" Raj wondered aloud, his voice echoing in the chamber. "I think it's a repository of knowledge," Evelyn replied, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's a library of the cosmos." Suddenly, a voice resonated throughout the chamber, echoing in their minds. "Welcome, travelers. You have sought the truth, and now it lies before you." The figure appeared once more, its form now solid and radiant. "You have faced your darkness, and in doing so, you have unlocked the key to understanding." The signal was a call for help, a warning of the darkness that threatens to consume your world. "What darkness?" Evelyn asked, her heart racing. "What do we need to do?" "The darkness is a force that feeds on fear and despair," the figure explained, its eyes glowing with intensity. "It seeks to destroy hope, to unravel the very fabric of existence. But you have the power to combat it, to bring light back to your world." Raj stepped forward, determination etched on his face. "How do we fight it? How can we help?" "To combat the darkness, you must share the light you have found," the figure replied. "Spread hope and knowledge, for it is through understanding that you will illuminate the path forward. The universe is interconnected, and your actions ripple through the cosmos." Evelyn nodded, feeling a surge of purpose. "We will do it. We will share what we've learned." The figure smiled, its form shimmering with light. "Remember, the whispers are not just a warning. They are a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always a way to find the light. Trust in yourselves and in each other." As the figure faded, Evelyn felt the energy around them shift once more. The chamber began to dissolve into a sea of stars, and she and Raj were enveloped in a bright light. Evelyn awoke with a start, gasping for breath. She was back in the lab, surrounded by her team, their faces etched with concern. The monitors flickered with data, but the atmosphere felt different. Lighter, more hopeful. "Evelyn, thank God you're awake," Raj exclaimed, rushing to her side. "We thought we lost you." "What happened?" she asked, trying to shake off the remnants of her dream. "We saw the signal pulse, and then everything went dark," he explained. "But then, the whispers changed. They felt different, less threatening, more hopeful." Evelyn looked around, her heart swelling with a sense of purpose. "We need to share what we learned." The signal was a call for help, a plea to combat the darkness. Her team listened intently, and together they began to formulate a plan to spread the knowledge they had gained. They knew the darkness was not just an external force, it was a reflection of humanity's fears and struggles. As they worked tirelessly to unravel the complexities of the signal, they found ways to connect with communities around the world, sharing messages of hope and resilience. They hosted discussions, created educational programs, and used social media to reach as many people as possible. The whispers became a guiding force, a reminder that they were not alone. Together, they forged a network of support, empowering individuals to confront their own fears and share their stories. Over time, the world began to change. The storms that had raged subsided, and the strange occurrences that had plagued society started to fade. The darkness that had once loomed over them began to recede, replaced by a burgeoning sense of hope and connection. Evelyn stood on a hill overlooking the desert, the sun setting in a blaze of colour. She felt a sense of peace wash over her, a profound understanding that they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. "Evelyn," Raj called, joining her at the crest of the hill. "Look at what we've accomplished. We really did it." "Yes, we did," she replied, a smile spreading across her face. "Together." As they watched the sun dip below the horizon, Evelyn felt a warmth envelop her, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was always a path back to the light. The whispers had transformed from a haunting echo into a song of hope, resonating through the universe, reminding them that they were all interconnected, bound by the light they carried within. And as long as they held onto that light, the darkness would never truly consume them.